going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort. And China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
That's actually what I was going to ask you next, which is the digital yuan, which China is testing as we speak. There's a lot of hype about it, a lot of talk about whether it could supplant the U.S. dollar or take over the global foreign exchange system. But do you really think that China can convince consumers internationally and investors internationally to get into a digital yuan when they haven't done so with their own currency?
Yeah, I don't. I think China can force the adoption of their digital currency for trade and investment in China per se, unless the U.S. and the West outlaws it or basically disallows it as something that can be owned. And I know that sounds hyperbolic, but I don't think you can get a little bit of cancer. Either you have cancer or you don't. And I believe the digital yuan is the largest threat to the West that we've faced in the last 30, 40 years. And it's because that it allows China to actually get their claws into everyone in the West and allows them to potentially export their digital authoritarianism. I believe it's a digital Trojan horse. And to your point, Sarah, no one trusts China. No one trusts their government. And today, only 1.8% of global currency transactions settle in RMB. And if you peel the onion back a little further, those are almost all exclusively in Hong Kong. So China only trades with itself. They need dollars. And so how they roll out their digital currency and how it affects the world is vitally important to the national security of the United States and Europe and the rules-based order. And I think that's the big story that we've got to focus on in the next.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. We have China's digital yuan is going to be the world reserve currency backed by that digital SDR. If you have my book, you already know that. And now we have CNBC constantly pushing that message out on how powerful China is, how powerful this digital yuan is going to be. Remember, if it was just going to be the yuan, the renminbi, just the regular paper, it would take them 10 to 15 years to overtake the US dollar. But if it's digital, guys, something you can just airdrop, and don't forget everything is made in China. So they can make it mandatory for you to do what? That's right, transact in the digital yuan. And also we have Fidelity offering an educational platform for younger traders. And we know in America we're not taught about finances. Something that should have been done. I have nieces over in Europe. They already graduate with some type of trade or degree in high school, the way it should be here. And now we have high schools in America that are talking about implementing that program where the kid already has an associate's degree before leaving high school. Now, guys, why are they pushing this? Because they know we're about to switch places with China. We see all the small businesses are gone and not coming back. We know America to Babylon is going to fall. America is used to surplus. Now you're going to have to learn how to stretch that dollar like everybody else. Now, we also had Novogratz talk about Bitcoin mining and the energy and why Bitcoin failed. Guys, we know is what? That's right, all the Fed. as we see when Bitcoin was going up to 60,000, oh, it's the greatest thing in the world. Like they didn't know about Bitcoin mining. Now, remember, I said this in constant videos. All of a sudden, it got put in the back burner, and they'll bring it forward. And now they're bringing it forward, guys. I tell you what the New World Order is going to do before they do it. Because I know what? It's all planned out. And also, we had Ron Conway say that he was with Brian Armstrong going to the politicians lobbying for regulation. But we know the regulation they want. They want all the regulation that's in their favor, not the people's. Remember what the New World Order does. They create the problem. They wait for the reaction, and they run in with the solution. And we know crypto is that solution. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Fidelity making a big push to introduce stock trading to a new generation of investors. The firm says it will issue debit cards and offer investing and savings accounts to 13 to 17-year-olds whose parents or guardians also invest with Fidelity. The accounts will allow teens to buy and sell U.S. stocks, Fidelity mutual funds, and some exchange-traded funds. And similar to Fidelity's policy for adults, it isn't charging account fees or commissions for online trading. Interesting. I mean, clearly, parents already save for their children. It just wouldn't be the children actively trading in and out of stocks.
I wish I could have done this back in the teenage years. So you only need the parents. Fidelity is only requiring parental permission to sign up, but not to make the trades. And teenagers can buy fractional shares of the higher price stocks.
I mean, if it's purely educational, I don't know. It might be also a little bit of a recipe for disaster. We'll see.
Bitcoin now hovering around $45,000 after crossing $60,000 earlier this year. The cryptocurrency down more than 20% since Elon Musk's SNL gig, bringing down with it companies with Bitcoin on their balance sheet. MicroStrategy, Tesla, Square, PayPal, all taking hits over the past 3 months. Joining us right now is Galaxy Digital CEO Mike Novogratz. Mike, you have been a longtime bull. You've talked about institutional interest for a very long time in Bitcoin. Is that changing?
No, let's not miss the forest through the trees, right? Bitcoin's up 55% on the year. Ethereum's up 240%. We had staggering moves on a positive story, right, of institutional adoption, of the adoption of blockchains in all kinds of business. And so I don't think anything's changed in that story. Listen, markets get ahead of themselves. They correct. This is kind of natural in markets. We had tax day yesterday. A lot of people made a lot of money in crypto and had to pay tax. You also had that big surge post-COVID, kind of finally hit the 1 year mark. So people went from short-term to long-term gains. I'm sure that triggered some people to sell. You had Elon bringing up these ESG concerns, which are real. They're going to be addressed just like every other industry addresses their ESG concerns. And so, you put those three things together, it caused a pretty nice sell-off. I think we're going to... Go ahead.
Let's go straight to the ESG concerns, because I think that's actually perhaps what took the price of Bitcoin down the most, and raises, I think, some real questions. Can it be addressed? Sure. Can it be addressed quickly? I think not. I don't know anybody who thinks realistically that the way Bitcoin is structured can somehow take up either less energy unto itself, though I know there are efforts for that. And then the question, of course, is, can you start using, solar and wind and all sorts of things? And I know there's efforts to do that, but that's going to take a long time. If Elon Musk has decided that he can't buy Bitcoin, how can a big institution like BlackRock even think about it?
Well, listen, they all buy Google stock, and Google owns YouTube, and YouTube uses 2.5% of all electricity, right? I mean, it's shocking. Like, things that are worth something use electricity. Bitcoin and the crypto ecosystem is an important part of the future of finance. And so it should cost something. There's a commitment, I think, and you're going to see it louder and more clear from people in the industry to say, hey, let's make this as carbon neutral as possible. All electricity in 6, 7, 8 years is going to be green anyway, right? If you look at the cost curves of solar and wind and geothermal, how fast they're coming. So there's this gap in between when I think the world has got to figure out how do we make all industries greener, not just
right. But Mike, the Bitcoin technology unto itself, as we've talked about, is about as inefficient as it comes. In fact, its inefficiency is part of the design of it, in part to create the value you're talking about. But I think there's a view that if you were actually creating a new currency or a new asset in this day and age and you were trying to be environmentally friendly, there are lots of other coins and other ways to do it that actually would be a more efficient way to do it. And that's what I'm wondering about Bitcoin unto itself.
Listen, the market's going to decide why people like Bitcoin. It is the most decentralized. It is the most secure in that respect, right? It costs a lot to secure it because it's securing over a
Brian Armstrong, right? And you were answering questions, fielding, I'm sure, no shortage of skepticism. What message did you take away? Where does DC stand on crypto?
Well, we met with a lot of lawmakers and policymakers and regulators, and our message to them was that the crypto industry wants to cooperate and collaborate on efforts to establish a regulatory framework for the crypto economy, so there's no mystery about government agency jurisdiction and rules, because without that clarity, a lot of founders are not coming to the United States and creating jobs here. And with clarity, we think we'll be able to create even more jobs in the United States. We need that regulatory framework. And many of the people we met with said, we've never had a company come in and ask us for a regulatory framework, but the crypto industry is.